I'm Mexican American. My grandparents migrated here. It was very interesting because we use the term immigration quite a bit, but for a lot of Hispanics and Latino peoples, we really didn't immigrate. We were either refugees, like my grandparents actually fled to the U.S. during the Mexican Revolution. They had become political enemies of the local people running their local, town outside of San Luis Potosí. But when you think about it, their great grandparents could have lived in contemporary Texas. They could have lived in Southern California, and so that's why we say we didn't cross the border crossed us, right? And so that's kind of my background, Mexican American. My father grew up in Houston, Texas in the 40s and early 50s at a time when you still saw these signs. I think I have one actually right on hand. Oh yeah, we're familiar with these segregated signs, right? But then in Houston and Miami and cities like that, you also have these other signs, which you had a lot of these: no Negroes, no dogs, no Mexicans. And so my father grew up during this era of history, teaching me about this. I saw it when we lived in not San Antonio, but San Leandro, California for 4 or 5 years, where there was a lot of racism directed towards blacks and Hispanics as groups. Now, what I do now is actually kind of study that and try to break it down and try to talk about how, where racism comes from, but also how to dismantle it. And so I teach a lot of Latino history, African American history. I try to combine them when I can. And I'm actually teaching a course, a comparative African American and Latino history course in the spring at UF. And it's run as a senior seminar for the Department of History. It's a really fun class, because we look at these connections between people like, Cesar Chavez, Martin Luther King, and, connections that go back a long way between the two groups, tensions between the groups, moments of solidarity, but also kind of the broader themes, in terms of education, prison industrial complex, politics, and those types of things. I also direct the oral history program here. We're the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program, and so we serve as kind of the institutional memory of the University of Florida. So we do a lot of interviews with administrators, retired faculty, alumni, and we also are increasingly doing immigration history projects. In fact, we just finished doing 20 oral history interviews with people who work with a group called Student Action with Farm Workers. And so we're increasingly moving into those areas. We've done interviews with people in the Dominican Republic, California. So we're increasingly becoming like a national, even international program. And we do living history. We try to make history exciting for people. So instead of just reading a book, you can listen to something or watch someone, talk about history.